Vodacom technical analysis, and we're on the monthly chart. And at this point, one of the questions that we need to ask ourselves is now actually a good time to consider buying Vodacom? And in my humble opinion, at this point in time, I would say no. And the reason why I say so, or one of the reasons why I would say so, is that we are in a downward trending market, which means that the market is creating lower lows and lower highs, and this means that for the most part we should not indeed be looking for potential buy opportunities. Another thing that I also want to bring to your attention that is also very much important is that one of the reasons why we're seeing this downward movement, in my very humble opinion, is that we had this W structure or double bottom. And as I always say, when this happens, a lot of investors and traders buy on the second leg and they place their stop losses just below. So we have at this point over here a lot of liquidity in the form of stop losses, and that's probably why, or rather one of the reasons why, we're seeing price moving further down to that level to grab all of those stop losses. And chances are, once that is done, we're likely going to see the market start to move up, right? However, I'm not saying that we should buy when price reaches this level. Before we buy, we just need to wait for the trend to change, where the market would create a low and then a high and then a higher low and then a higher high. That's when I believe we should consider looking for potential buy opportunities, right? But as I said, as things stand right now, it's not a good idea to buy, as the market is stop hunting, and it's stop hunting the stop losses that are located here due to the fact that we had this W structure, and a lot of people bought here and put their stop losses at that level, more or less, right? Anyway, let's head down to the weekly chart, and here we are on the weekly chart. Let's have a look. Weekly chart. On the weekly chart, we can see that we had this double top, which has a neckline at that point, and this also confirms that indeed we should not be buying, as we may see price actually head up to the neckline to just test it out. And at that neckline is where we may see the market actually move further down to grab all of those stop losses that I spoke about, right? And again, the weekly chart is also in a downward trend, and this says indeed we should not be buying. What else do we see in regards to the weekly chart of Vodacom? At this point, really, I don't see much. So I'm just going to head down to the daily chart, and here we are on the daily chart. And just to recap, on the weekly chart, remember we said the market had given us this double top, which had a neckline there, and we said that buying at this point is not a good idea, as price may head back to the neckline to test it. Remember that the neckline is also now a very strong level of resistance, as we had multiple rejections in and around that area, and in the future we may get another rejection here and then price move further down, right? But what else do we see, guys? What else do we see at this point? Another thing that I see that is very, very much important is that we have this candlestick over here, and you guys know that it is actually a bearish candlestick with a relatively small body and a long lower wick, and we know where that wick ends. Right at the bottom we have a lot of liquidity there, right? So it actually explains why we're seeing price actually move further down. There's a lot of money stuck here, over and above the money stuck here in the form of stop losses. Yeah, so there is plenty of scope, as you guys can see, for the market to continue moving, further down. And as I said, buying right now, in my very, very humble opinion, is not a good idea, right? So let's have a look. What else do we see in regards to the daily chart? At this point, again, I don't see much, but as much as we had this candlestick with a small body and a relatively long lower wick, we also have another one here. I hope you guys can see it, and we have a smaller one here as well. So there is, as I said, guys, a lot of scope for the market to continue to move further down, right? From here, I'm just going to move down to the H4 chart, and let's have a look. And again, let's recap on the H4, or rather on the daily chart. We spoke about this huge, well, on the daily chart is actually small, but on the H4 chart it is quite huge. Double top, which has a neckline there. We said price may head up to that level and then push further down, right? We also spoke about how the market had given us these candlesticks that are carrying all of this liquidity, and that there is plenty of scope for the market to move to these levels to grab that liquidity, and also move further down to grab the stop losses that are sitting here, due to the fact that on the monthly chart we have that huge W structure, and remember I said people bought here and placed their stop losses there, right? So here we are on the H4 chart, and again on the H4 chart, really I don't see much. The only thing that I can see is that we have a channel of sorts, right? And this tells us that a breakout is imminent. And again, we may see price actually break out to the upside to induce more people to buy so that they can place their stop losses here. Because also, as much as we have this triangle, the market has also given us a W structure here. And we know that whenever we have these W structures, a lot of traders and investors actually buy on the second leg and they place their stop losses just below. So, as I said, we may see price actually form a trap where it breaks out to the upside to induce more people to buy as they are seeing this W structure. And at this point, which is a very strong level of resistance because we had remember, multiple rejections, we may see the market at this point move further down to grab the liquidity here due to those candlesticks that I spoke about, as well as to move further down and grab the stop losses that are sitting here, right? Again, right now is not a good idea to buy Vodacom in my very, very humble opinion. As I said, the best thing to do is on the daily chart. Let me just go back to the daily chart. At least wait for the market to create a low and then a high, then a higher low and then a higher high, and so forth, right? So this would be an ideal situation in my very, very humble opinion, right? So I'm just speculating at this point. I'm not necessarily saying that the markets will unravel in the manner in which I've just described. I'm just showing you reasons why actually I myself personally will not consider buying Vodacom. The best thing to do at this point in time is to just wait it out, because just to recap, remember guys, on the monthly chart I spoke about how we have this, and I said that people bought here and place their stop losses there, and we may see price move further down to grab all of those stop losses. And once that is done, we may then start to see the market start to move further up. I hope you guys can see that.